The Unseen Battle. A tale of justice and redemption. The lobby of Prestige National Bank in downtown Atlanta fell silent as FBI agents stormed in, guns drawn. The tension was palpable as they approached Vanessa Wright, a poised woman in her tailored navy suit, standing face to face with Richard Coleman, the bank manager. To everyone's shock, the agents holstered their weapons and saluted Vanessa, leaving Richard's face drained of color. The moment was electric. But how did it come to this? Let's rewind the beginning of this powerful story. Vanessa, 43, had spent 2 decades building a stellar career in financial analysis. Today, she was applying for a business loan to expand her consulting firm, focusing on financial literacy in underprivileged communities. Ironically, she watched as white customers were ushered ahead of her, despite her confirmed appointment. Each time the door swung open, she noticed the staff's furtive glances, some curious, others suspicious. A young black teller, Zoe Jackson, occasionally caught her eye, offering an apologetic look. When Timothy Parker, a loan officer with thinning hair, finally called her name, his tone suggested inconvenience rather than service. "Mrs. Wright, I suppose we can see you now," he said, emphasizing Mrs. instead of Ms. as if to undermine her professionalism. As they walked to his office, Vanessa sensed his discomfort, his body language suggesting she was an unwelcome presence. Timothy's office was adorned with certificates, but he barely glanced at Vanessa's meticulously prepared documents. "Is there really a market for that?" he asked, skepticism dripping from his voice. Vanessa calmly explained her business model, which included sliding scale fees and partnerships with community organizations. Yet, Timothy dismissed her financial statements, focusing instead on income verification questions that felt insulting. When she mentioned her firm's annual revenue of $2 million, his eyebrows shot up. "And you can prove all this income is legitimate?" he asked, his tone dripping with doubt. Vanessa maintained her composure, presenting her documentation, but Timothy set them aside. "Prestige National typically works with established businesses. Maybe you should try a community bank." The implication hung heavy in the air. "I'd like to speak with manager, please," Vanessa insisted, her voice steady. Timothy's jaw tightened, but he complied. Richard Coleman entered, his annoyance barely concealed. "I understand there's an issue," he said, addressing Timothy rather than Vanessa. "Mrs. Wright is applying for a business loan, but doesn't meet our usual profile," Timothy explained. Richard turned to Vanessa, his eyes scanning her with clear skepticism. "Your credit score seems unusually high for someone with your background," he paused, searching for words. "We need to ensure all information is accurate." Vanessa's voice remained even. "My credit score is 820. My business has been profitable for 12 consecutive years. I brought complete documentation." Richard picked up her credit report, his expression shifting to one of suspicion. "These numbers seem suspicious. Identity theft is common. We need to verify this is actually your information." As the tension escalated, Zoe, the young teller, hovered nearby, organizing documents while clearly listening. Other customers began to notice the interaction, exchanging glances. Vanessa pointed out that she had already provided 2 forms of government ID, her business license and tax returns. Richard shook his head, listing excessive additional requirements that felt like barriers designed to keep her out. "Until we can verify your identity and the legitimacy of these documents, we cannot proceed," he stated firmly. The atmosphere in the room thickened as Richard suggested they move to a more private setting to verify her identity through additional channels. Vanessa noticed Zoe's troubled expression and the uncomfortable silence that had fallen over the nearby customers. In the small conference room, Richard's demeanor shifted. "We take fraud very seriously at Prestige National," he began, his tone suggesting he had already reached a conclusion. "There appear to be several concerning discrepancies in your application." Vanessa maintained her calm, asking for specifics. Richard's vague accusations only fueled her determination. Just then, Zoe entered with a stack of forms. "Mr. Coleman, I ran the standard verification protocol on Mrs. Wright's application. Everything checks out," she said, her voice trembling but resolute. Richard's face flushed with anger. "You were not authorized to run those verifications. Return to your station immediately." Vanessa folded her hands, her voice steady. "I'd like to speak with someone from your corporate compliance department. I believe there are irregularities in how my application is being handled." Richard's agitation was palpable as he attempted to dismiss her concerns, but Vanessa stood her ground as the situation escalated. Richard called the police, claiming attempted fraud. When officers arrived, they treated Vanessa with suspicion, their hands resting on their weapons. Richard's confidence seemed to grow as he explained the situation, but Vanessa remained composed, knowing she had the truth on her side. 3 months earlier, Vanessa had been in a different office, presenting her findings to FBI Assistant Director Marcus Thompson. She had uncovered a shocking pattern. Prestige National Bank's Atlanta branches had a rejection rate for black applicants 700% higher than for white applicants with identical financial profiles. The evidence was undeniable, but traditional regulatory approaches had failed. Now, as she sat in the conference room, she reflected on the meticulous preparation that had brought her to this moment. Her undercover identity was flawless, built upon her real credentials as a financial analyst. The phone number Richard was calling connected not to his contact, but to a dedicated line monitored by Vanessa's team. As the FBI agents entered the lobby, the atmosphere shifted. Richard's confidence faltered as he realized the gravity of the situation. "This woman attempted to defraud our institution," he began, but his words faltered as Vanessa revealed her FBI badge. "Special Agent Vanessa Wright," she announced, her voice steady and authoritative. The room fell silent as she detailed the investigation into systematic discriminatory lending practices at Prestige National Bank. Richard's face drained of color as the reality of his actions sank in. The evidence was overwhelming, and justice had arrived with undeniable force. In the month that followed, the investigation revealed a culture of discrimination that had harmed countless individuals. The bank faced significant penalties, and Vanessa's work led to systemic changes in how financial institutions operated. The stories of those affected by the bank's practices became a rallying cry for justice, and Vanessa emerged as a champion for equality to She stood before a crowd at the newly renovated bank. She emphasized that the journey was far from over. Discrimination in financial services didn't develop overnight, and it won't be eliminated through a single case or settlement, she stated. Real transformation requires vigilance, accountability, and continued commitment from both institutions and communities. The story of Prestige National Bank had become a turning point in the fight against financial discrimination, proving that justice could prevail against powerful interests. Vanessa's journey was a testament to the strength of resilience and the power of standing up for what is right. In the end, the battle for justice was not just about one woman's fight against discrimination. It was about creating a future where everyone had equal access to opportunity and dignity. The road ahead was long, but with each step, Vanessa and her allies moved closer to a world where fairness and equality reigned supreme.